Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Friday, the 30th of June. Good to have you aboard. We are a Blue Wire podcast, presented as always by our title sponsor of everything ZASLOW Show 2.0, Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys. If you've been involved in any kind of an accident, if you're dealing with a personal injury, I'm sending it to our title sponsor. They've been supporting me from day number one. And if you're dealing with an injury, they're going to treat you like family. They're going to support you and make sure you get the money you deserve. Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. This is a big news day. NBA free agency starts tonight, officially at 6 p.m. But look, we know the way this goes. You got all kinds of news that's already out there. We're going to keep you up to speed on all of that. We got Heat news. We're going to keep you up to speed on that. And listen, you're listening to this show in the future. I'm in the past right now. So maybe you're saying to yourself, ZASLOW, how come you didn't talk about the Heat training for Steph Curry today? And I'm like, yo, you're in the future. I don't have all the information that you have. So I didn't know that the Heat traded for Steph Curry. Things like that may wind up happening today. So you'll have to hang with me here. But we're going to keep you up to speed on everything that's gone on so far and maybe what we could expect tonight. The Marlins sweep that ass in Boston and now have a huge series this weekend beginning tonight in Atlanta against the first place Braves. It's Friday, so you know what that means. We got big game or not a big game. We got to make sure everybody knows what the big games and the not big games are. We got big movie or not a big movie. So there's a lot happening here. I'm so glad to have you guys aboard. All right, so last night, we're watching the Marlins. I got the Marlins. I watched the end of the Marlins on the big TV in the ZASLOW Mansion family room. But otherwise, the Marlins were on the small TV in the ZASLOW Mansion family room. Jazz Chisholm last night. Marlins win 2-0. Jazz hits a home run for the second straight game. It was a solo shot there, an insurance run in the 8th. Jesus Luzardo went 6 1/3, I think it was. The bullpen did the job and saved it for him there. So Luzardo did not get the win, but the Marlins do. 14 over 500, 48-34 with last night's 2-0 win at the Red Sox. And, you know, we talked about this. We had Joe Frisaro on the show a couple days ago after the Marlins won the opener in Boston. And looking ahead to the Atlanta series, you know, he mentions, hey, you get this first game in Boston, a place that's been a house of horrors for the Marlins for their franchise history. And okay, worst case scenario, at least you got a game in Boston before you go to Atlanta for a big series. Well, then after they win the second game, you won the series in Boston. Can you get a sweep going into Atlanta? And that's exactly what the Marlins did. So, fantastic job. And how about this? So, I called my son in last night. It's like, hey, come sit on the couch. We're watching something on the big TV. I'll tell you what in a second here. But I got the Marlins on the small TV. I go, hey, come watch. Like, it's going into the 8th inning. It's 0-0. But the Marlins are being no-hit. And so the Marlins, after having no hits through 7, get 4 hits in the 8th and bring in a run. Matter of fact, they scored that run before anybody got out. You had a base hit. Then you had first, which I think was Segura. You had a base hit. Then you had another hit, first to third. And then you had the base hit. Was that the De La Cruz broken bat? It may have been. And the Marlins wind up getting the run there. So you love that they run bases. They play that small ball, which, by the way, that 2003 Marlins team, especially top of the order, Juan Pierre, Louis Castillo, that Marlins team loved playing small ball. This Marlins team, they are exciting in that way, where they play the small ball. You get a bunch of hits. They go from first to third. So the Marlins, who were being no hit going into the 8th inning, end up getting a run, 4 hits in that 8th inning. You get an insurance run there in the top of the 9th, 2-0. Marlins win. They sweep that ass. And Miami continues to own Boston. And really good job by the producers there on Bally Sports Florida, where they put the graphic up there. This year in Boston, and they're, referring to playoffs, or maybe most recently in Boston. That's probably the best way to do it. Most recently in Boston, they had the graphic up there. Heat, 3-1. Panthers, 3-1. Marlins, 3-0. We own you, Boston. That's our city. So the Marlins getting everybody excited because we got something to watch. We got something to hold us over, essentially, until the Dolphins come around. But it's not just something to hold us over. We got meaningful games every night now with this baseball team. And yes, I'm a little bit late to the party, but look, I'm here. There's room on the bandwagon for everybody. So it's really cool that on a nightly basis, and this weekend especially, I don't want to do any spoilers, but I'll tell you, with big game, not a big game, Marlins and Braves might be on it for this weekend. Might be on it. So it's just really cool that you got meaningful games. And look, I know the Marlins were in the postseason 3 years ago, but it's kind of bullshit. Like 60 games they played. They were 32-28. Yes, they won the series. It was against Chicago, right? They won a series. All right. That's not baseball. Baseball is 162 games every day. The grind of this 5-month, 6-month season, and then making the postseason. And the Marlins haven't had that in 20 years. So it feels, they're 14 games over. This is a team that now, as tomorrow we head into July, every day is playing meaningful games. So you got something really cool brewing here, which makes sense because we're the best sports town, center of the sports universe. Heat, best. Panthers, best. Hurricanes, basketball, best. And now you got Marlins, best. So best sports town, center of the sports universe. Excellent job by the Marlins. And look, the Red Sox now, I believe, are two under. They were 1 over going into the series. But whatever you think about the Red Sox, we're clearly just an average team. They're a 500 team. Sweeping the Red Sox in Fenway, that's no joke. That's big time. That's Fenway Park. I mean, how many times have the Red Sox been swept at home this year? I don't know. I'm asking that I'm just asking it out loud, but I would have to imagine it has happened maybe one other time if I'm just to take a stab at it. If I'm just going to guess how many times they've been swept at Fenway this year, I got to figure that is, it could be the first time. I mean, look, I'll do it together. What the hell? We got time. I got time. All right. So at Fenway this year, how many times have they been swept? Let's see. All right. Beginning of the year, actually, they were swept at Fenway by Pittsburgh. So that's one time. Let's see. Any others here? Now we're into May. They were swept at home by St. Louis. All right, it's happened a couple times. Swept at home by St. Louis. And this is the third time. So Pittsburgh swept them early in the year. I think it was last month. They were swept at home by St. Louis. And now they were just swept at home by Miami. So 3 times. I would have guessed maybe once, but still, only the third time this year they've been swept at home. Excellent job there by the Marlins. And again, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but big game, not a big game, you might have the Marlins here. Now, why? You're saying to yourself, Zaslow, why were the Marlins on the small TV last night? Well, my wife and I, we picked up a new show. So we finished The Bear a couple nights ago, which I can't recommend. I can't go on and on about it. I've been thinking about The Bear nonstop all day yesterday. What a show. And I told you, if you're not through season 2 yet, the episode Fishes, I think it's the best episode of television I've ever seen. So go watch The Bear. Amazing show. And completely different, by the way, from first season. Because the first season is pretty much all in the kitchen, and the second season is mostly outside the kitchen, and they really dive into the background behind all the characters. Okay, so why were we watching the Marlins on the small TV in the Zaslow Mansion family room? Because my wife and I were watching on the big TV. We picked up a new show. Apple Plus or Apple TV, whatever it is. So it's weekly episodic, all right? It's not all at once. You can't binge it all at once, which I'm fine with, you know? We started watching last night. I watched the first 2 episodes because they both came out this week. Like they do a little bit of extra teasing, Apple TV, where they release 2 episodes to start, and then you're just getting 1 at a time, right? So we started watching Hijack. That's our new show with Idris Elba, who everybody loves. So, Hijack, if you can't tell from the name, a plane gets hijacked. That's the show. And without giving any spoilers, it's an episodic series. I don't know how many episodes are because only the first 2 episodes have come out. But how can it be sounds weird, right? I first thought it was going to be a movie because how many episodes can you get out of a hijacking on a plane, you know? And it's a 7-hour flight from Dubai to London. So that's how you can kind of do that, right? It's a really long flight. And I'll just give you the quick synopsis. Plane obviously gets hijacked. Idris Elba, he plays one of the passengers. He's not one of the hijackers. He plays one of the passengers. And we don't know what his job is. We don't know what he does for a living. But we know that that is going to play a major role in how he gets out of this mess. That's the show. Not going to spoil anything else for you, all right? So it's 2 episodes in right now. The next episode, I think, comes out on Tuesday. And there you go. So I recommend that show, Hijack. If you're afraid of like, my wife and I, we sat down. She goes, I'm going to be afraid of flying now. I said, listen, there hasn't been a hijacking since 9/11. We clearly take the proper precautions. There's no hijacking, all right? You don't have to worry about it. The show's not called Crash, and it's about a plane crashing. That can happen. God forbid. The show is Hijack. Planes don't get hijacked anymore, all right? So you don't have to be worried about that. And she's like, oh, yeah, you're right. It hasn't happened since 9/11. Okay, so there you go. Watch Hijack. I was really into it. I really enjoyed that. And like I said, everybody loves Idris Elba. All right, before we continue on here, guys, if you're in the market for a new car, you can't decide where to go, now you got anxiety over it, you're lucky you're listening to me right now because I'm sending you to the only car dealership I personally endorse. I'm talking about, yeah, that's right, North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. You walk in the showroom doors at North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, and a member of their friendly sales team is going to greet you and navigate you in the right direction. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru carries the widest inventory of the newest Subaru models on the market. We're talking the Outback, the Crosstrek, the Forester, the Ascent, the WRX. If you're looking for a spacious Subaru SUV, yeah, North Fort Lauderdale Subaru is where you want to be. If you're looking for just a Subaru sedan, something for, something to have fun in, something to go to work every day, North Fort Lauderdale Subaru is sure to have the perfect model for you. Conveniently located North Andrews Avenue, just north of Cypress Creek Road. You always get more at North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. Guaranteed most money for your trade, lifetime warranty included on all North Fort Lauderdale Subaru vehicles. How about that? Shop NFLSubaru.com. That's real easy to remember. NFLSubaru.com. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, the building you know and the place to go. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. All right. So today's a big news day. NBA free agency gets going officially at 6 p.m. We'll get to the Heat in a second. But what do we got as far as news leading up to today? So we got a couple nuggets yesterday. Free agency begins tonight. It's going to be wild because these conversations have been going on for weeks. No one waits around until 6 p.m. to talk. It's all, it's nonsense, which is why it's even more nonsense when last year or 2 years ago, when the Heat got docked the draft pick because of the Kyle Lowry stuff, which is such horseshit. Are all these teams going to get docked draft picks? Are they all going to get fined? They shouldn't. It is what it is. So you're going to have a ton of action today, especially starting at 6 p.m. when it could really become official. So I told you guys yesterday when I was telling you about Kyrie Irving, right? How this is what NBA reporting is now, right? And I got to tell you something. Shams Charania, to me, because that was the report yesterday, right? That Kyrie Irving, he intends to meet with multiple teams, right? Wasn't that Shams Charania? I'm going to get to a little bit more of him. I think Shams Charania has dropped off in a very big way. as someone sent me a tweet today too, and I think it's a great point. It really feels like Shams Charania has become like a public relations firm for a bunch of these players. I think he has dropped off in a very big way, Shams Charania. A puppet for a lot of these guys. All right, so Kyrie Irving intends to meet with multiple teams. And I intend ZASLOW Show 2.0 to be the most listened to podcast in the world. Is that going to happen? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, I love you guys, but the most listened to in the world, I intend for that to be the case. I'm planning on that. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's not just up to me. I need a little bit of cooperation there. So Kyrie Irving can intend to meet with whoever he wants. No one is meeting with Kyrie. I mean, maybe someone will meet with him. No one outside of Dallas will give him a multi-year deal. And here's the thing. The whole reason, just like when he put out the news about LeBron, that he called LeBron, which may have happened, but and it's Kyrie's people who are leaking everything because they're trying to drum up the market for him. Why are they leaking everything and trying to drum up the market for him? Because they know Dallas is not giving them what he wants, meaning the max 5-year and the max money, but B, they also know that Dallas knows no one else wants him. So they'd be bidding against themselves. And why would you bid against yourself? So Kyrie Irving and his team put out the LeBron stuff. Hey, you should sign me to the max because I can get LeBron here. No one's falling for that bullshit. This is all part of the Kyrie grift. That's what this is. He's a con man. This is part of the Kyrie grift. And which is why it also makes sense that the team that he's using now, that he intends to take a meeting with the Phoenix Suns, is also run by a con man. That's Isaiah Thomas. He's also a grifter. Isaiah Thomas is running the Suns. We know that now. I feel bad for my guy, James Jones. So, yeah, you got a con man in Isaiah Thomas and a con man in Kyrie Irving thinking, you know what, let's use each other. We can link up here and see if we can get Kyrie exactly what he wants, which is the max contract in Dallas, which is not going to happen. And also, see again, this is the Kyrie grift. There is no meeting that has taken place between Kyrie Irving and the Phoenix Suns. There is no chance that the Suns meet with him. This is all part of the grift to get him the money from Dallas. And then, see, this is the grift. He gets the money from Dallas. He's going to get money from them, but not what he wants. He wants to get the money from Dallas. This is the grift. This is what he wants. He wants to get all the money from Dallas, and then 6 months from now, he demands the trade. Because he doesn't want to be there. He wants all of the money. It's always about money with Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving wanted to go to Lakers last year. He could have. Could have signed there for $6 million. Wasn't willing to give up $36 million with Brooklyn. It's only about money with him. So he's trying to convince the Mavericks to give him the money that he wants. And then in 6 months from now, he demands a trade. You don't think he's going to demand a trade? The Brooklyn Nets the last 20 games were 18-2 before they traded Kyrie Irving. 18-2 in a stretch of 20 games. And then he demanded a trade. You don't think? And why did he do it? Because the Nets wouldn't give him the extension he wanted. This is the grift. He's creating this market which doesn't exist. He thinks he's gaining himself leverage because he has none. And it's to get Dallas to give him all the money. And then he's going to demand a trade in 6 months from now to try and get to where he wants to go. He is the worst. The worst. And you know, he could sign with Phoenix. If he could go wherever he wants. Sign with Phoenix for the minimum. He's not going to do that. There's no way he's going to do that. It's all about the money. Phoenix doesn't have the money to sign. They're way over the cap. This is a con man, this Kyrie Irving. He's going to end up re-signing in Dallas, not for the money he wants, and eventually he's going to demand a trade. He is the absolute worst. I would never accept him on my team. So that was a big deal yesterday. The other one, and this is surprising, right? James Harden opted in to the final year of his contract. And now you could see like this happened with Porzingis, right? Because of the weird rules with the CBA now and the salary cap, when a player who can get a lot more money, like Harden, opts in to the final year of the contract, it's because they want to be traded. See, Chris Middleton opted out of the final year of his contract. He wants to stay in Milwaukee. He wants a new deal with Milwaukee. Harden opts in because he wants to leave, and this can help facilitate a trade. Because if he opts out, sign and trades are so much harder now than they used to be. When a team makes a sign and trade, the receiving team is then hard capped, like the Heat were with Jimmy Butler a few years ago. And teams don't want to be hard capped. So if Harden wants to leave and then eventually sign an extension with the new team, he has to opt in to the deal with Philadelphia with the agreed upon intention of, we are going to find you a trade partner. So it's like a sign and trade, but without the restrictions. And that's what's going on there with Harden. So I was surprised to see that, especially because of the relationship between Harden and Morey. But just like all these deals are going to commence tonight at 6 p.m., that's because they've been working on these for weeks now. And Harden and Morey, this was likely a plan for a while now, where it's like, we just can't work it out. And you'll opt in. We'll essentially do the fake sign and trade where you opt in and we find a place for you to go. We work out a trade. Now, I will tell you, so a couple of teams, it sounds like the Clippers, but maybe the Knicks. I hope he goes to the Knicks. And you may be saying to yourself, ZASLOW, why would you hope James Harden wants to go to the Knicks? I hope Harden wants to go to the Knicks because Heat Knicks in the playoffs this year was a lot of fun. Heat Knicks is always more fun when the Knicks are good. The Knicks are a pretty good team. And who doesn't like rooting against James Harden? Harden going to the Knicks would be so much fun if you're a Heat fan. That only adds to the fun when you're playing the Knicks. And I think he'll be a major flop there. I hope the Knicks manage to find a deal to acquire James Harden. If you're a Heat fan, you should be hoping for that. That would be so much fun. Be totally in on that. So I'm hoping for Harden to the Knicks. The Clippers you're hearing a lot about as well. I could totally see that. And then you got another one of those ridiculous reports from Shams Charania. I told you, I think Shams has fallen off in a big way. Really big way. Shams Charania puts out this report yesterday. All right, let me actually pull it up here so I can tell you exactly what it said. Here it is. Quote, the Clippers and Heat are expected to emerge in this process for Harden, I'm told. Teams across the league understand a player like Harden will likely reach a preferred destination. That's from Shams Charania, NBA insider. So again, to recap, Clippers and Heat are expected to emerge in this process for Harden, I'm told. He's told that the Heat are expected. All right. We know that's not coming from the Heat. For one, the Heat have no leaks. But even if they did have leaks, if he got that information from the Heat, he wouldn't say they're expected. He would say the Heat are going to pursue James Harden. The Heat will pursue James Harden. So I'm told. What does that mean? Well, that's a source. A source could be anyone. So Shams Charania talks to some random league scout. Sends him a message. Hey, what teams do you think could be interested in Harden? And this random scout from some random team, that's a source. This random scout from a random team says, I would expect the Clippers and Heat to be interested. And that's what Charania runs with. Some random guy expects the Heat to go after James Harden. That's a report? That's news? I'm going to tell you what it is, bullshit. Expected to? The hell out. Be really careful what you believe when we're talking about NBA free agency. Be really careful. Be really careful at the nonsense out there. That's what I would say. Now, if you want to have a little bit of fun, what would a Harden Miami situation look like? Okay, we could have that. We could have a little bit of fun. We could do that for a second here. Real quick, though, I got to tell you guys, you've been noticing, look, it's a summertime. It rains a ton. It rains a hell of a lot. Yes, I got an infinity pool now. It rained a lot yesterday. Well, if you've noticed that you may have a leak in your home, that's probably a big issue. You need to make sure you get taken care of right away. If you got a water leak, you don't know where it's coming from, I send you to Water Cleanup of Florida. 954-900-8635. Let Water Cleanup of Florida, with over 60 years of combined experience, their team is prepared to handle all types of leak detection issues 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And after the leak is located and repaired, Water Cleanup of Florida, they then clean, try, and fully restore the damaged areas. Water Cleanup of Florida, fully licensed, insured, and certified to provide us that one-stop shopping that all of us are looking for. I don't want to call in another contractor afterward. No, Water Cleanup of Florida handles the entire project from start to finish. They cover the entire Tri-County area. Call or text them right when you notice there could be an issue. 954-900-8635, WCUFL.com. Water Cleanup of Florida. We clean up your schmutz. So, if we want to have a little bit of fun, would the Heat be interested in Harden? We know in the past they may have been interested. We've heard that before, right? So, me personally, I have no interest in Harden. Now, I don't have anything against him. Like Kyrie, I'd have a major problem with the Miami Heat picking up Kyrie Irving. A major, major problem. I don't feel that way about Harden. There's nothing wrong with Harden. I don't like his game. I don't think he's a big-time player. But what you can't deny is he's a major playmaker. He averaged 10 assists a game. That's nothing to sneeze at. But he doesn't play defense. He can still shoot. He's not the guy he was. Once in a while, he could put on the major performance. But we're talking a tremendous ball handler who can initiate offense, who is a playmaker. That's something that would help the Heat. The defense would be a huge negative, but that is something that would help the Heat. Overall, I'm not in on Harden. I'm not interested in the Heat acquiring Harden, but, and I don't believe the Heat are interested, and I don't buy that bullshit Shams Charania reports. I think it's the Clippers. And also you got the whole South Beach factor. I mean, come on. You think that's going to go well? I mean, Harden's got the South Beach flu every home game. I would take Harden on the Heat if it meant moving on from Lowry. Yeah. Lowry, Villanova, Philadelphia, they could use him. I don't know what they think about Lowry. I'm sure they don't think anything good about Lowry. But do I want Harden? No. But I would rather Harden than Lowry. If it meant getting off of, and both of them are expiring deals. If it meant getting off of Lowry, I would take Harden. But the Heat aren't going to do anything, and I wouldn't give a first-round pick. I don't even know if the Sixers can net a first-round pick for Harden. Maybe like maybe a lottery-protected pick. Maybe top 20 protected pick. I would offer, here's my offer for Harden. Lowry, 2 second-round picks. Take it or leave it. Leave it? Okay, no problem. Have a nice time. I would offer Lowry 2 second-round picks. That's it. I'd be able to stomach that. I would acquire Harden if it meant getting off of Lowry. Otherwise, that's not for me. But do I believe that the Heat are seriously considering, like that they're expected to, like that nonsense Shams Charania report? No, I don't believe so. I don't believe this is something Heat are interested, if only because they're in a holding pattern for Lillard. And they don't want any other move to prevent them from being able to acquire Damian Lillard. So the Heat aren't going to do anything. So if we're a Heat fan, that's what we're keeping an eye on tonight. We're keeping an eye on what moves the Blazers make. We want Draymond Green to re-sign with Golden State, which he will. We won't want him to go to Portland. We don't want the Blazers to do anything positive. We want them to do nothing. Because seemingly if they do nothing, the Heat got a real shot. That's what we're keeping an eye on. All right, we're also keeping an eye on the Heat's own free agents, and that's a big thing. We'll get to that in a second. What I want to do here first, though, guys, it's Friday. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of games out there that are going on. And you may be saying to yourself, ZASLOW, there's so much action this weekend. Lots of action. I gotta know, is it a big game? Or is it not a big game? Big game or not a big game? Brought to us as always by Brunt Insurance. That's right. Brunt Insurance and Financial Services, delivering that comprehensive insurance coverage at the most affordable prices out there. The only insurance agency I use and the only one I'm ever going to send you to. 954-589-2204. BruntInsurance.com. Greg Brunt and his team at Brunt Insurance. Fully licensed staff. And because they cover all of Florida, from Pensacola all the way down to the Keys and beyond, they know exactly what area you're calling from. They have offices in Davie, in Stewart, in Lakeland. 954-589-2204. So whatever kind of coverage you're looking for, they're going to know what you need. Does your home need this? Does it need this coverage? Do you know if you need flood insurance where you live? Well, Greg Brunt and his team at Brunt Insurance, they know exactly what type of coverage you need for your home. Maybe you're looking for automobile, motorcycle, boating insurance. 954-589-2204. When it comes to your home insurance, I've been using Brunt Insurance for almost 10 years now for my home insurance. When it comes to home, renters, condo insurance, there's so many options out there that can make your head spin. That's why you go to Brunt Insurance. 954-589-2204. BruntInsurance.com. Don't worry, they're going to make sure that the confusing aspects about insurance are crystal clear for you. You get the best coverage possible at the best rate out there. Brunt Insurance, 954-589-2204, BruntInsurance.com. Let's get to big game or not a big game. First up, tonight, 7:20 p.m., Bally Sports, Florida. The surging Miami Marlins, 48-34, at the first place Atlanta Braves, who are 6 games up on the Marlins. Do you know the only 2 other times in franchise history that the Marlins have been 14 games over 500? 1997, 2003. Do you know what happened those years? 1997, World Series champion. 2003, World Series champion. Marlins at Braves tonight. That's a big game. Yup, that's a big game. When you're 14 over, you're playing big games every night. All right, everybody calm down. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., Peacock, WWE Money in the Bank. One of the best premium live events of the year from the World Wrestling Entertainment. WWE Money in the Bank this year emanates from London. That's why it's at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Who is going to win the briefcase? The men's Money in the Bank. We're all hoping LA Knight, yeah, wins Money in the Bank tomorrow. I think it's going to be Logan Paul. The women's Money in the Bank, I mean, totally up for grabs. Is it Becky Lynch? Could it be Bayley? Could it be Zelina Vega? I don't know. I can't tell the future. But I can tell you, the main event, Bloodline Civil War. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, and Solo Sikoa against the Usos. Bloodline Civil War. That shit's going to be awesome. WWE Money in the Bank. That's a big game. All right. Tomorrow, 4:10 p.m., Bally Sports, Florida. Marlins at Braves. That's the second game of this 3-game weekend series with the Atlanta Braves. Will the Marlins have a chance to win the series tomorrow? Did they win tonight? And then tomorrow they could take the first 2 games? I don't know. But that's why Marlins at Braves tomorrow afternoon. That's a big game. Tomorrow night, 7:30, Apple Plus. Atlanta United at Inter Miami. That's right. Drive Pink Stadium, just off Commercial Boulevard, the home of Lionel Messi. Not just yet, but soon, the home of Lionel Messi. Now, Inter Miami, they just hired a new coach, former Barca coach, used to coach Lionel Messi. Is he gonna debut tomorrow? I would assume. Inter Miami, they're awful. They're 5-13. They've won 5 out of 18 games this year. They are dead last in the Eastern Conference. Atlanta United, they're a top 6 team. They're a playoff team right now in the Eastern Conference. Atlanta United at Inter Miami. You know, I'm an inaugural season ticket holder for Inter Miami. But that's not a big game. Nope. Until Messi gets there, they don't play any big games. Spoiler alert. Finally, got one more for you here. Everybody calm down. Sunday, 1:35 p.m. Bally Sports, Florida. Miami Marlins at Atlanta Braves. It's the 3rd and final game of this weekend series. Will the Marlins have a chance to sweep that ass in Atlanta? I don't know. We got to see what happens tonight. We got to see what happens tomorrow afternoon. But this is a monster weekend series for your favorite little baseball team. Sunday afternoon, 3rd and final game of the series. Marlins at Braves. That's a big game. And that right there, courtesy of Brunt Insurance, bruntinsurance.com, is another edition. A big game or not a big game. Yes. All right. Excellent job. Let's take a breath. Everybody settle down. Let me have a little bit of sip of my coffee here. All right. I'm going to Florida SuperCon tomorrow. Taking my younger son. He loves that stuff. The comic books, the Pokemon, the anime. We're going to Florida SuperCon tomorrow at Miami Beach Convention Center. But mainly because, excuse me, they have these video game tournaments. And my son wants to play, my younger one wants to play in the Mario Kart Deluxe tournament. He plays Mario Kart every day here at home. And when I told him they got to he's in on it. So we're going tomorrow. We're going to Florida SuperCon. We're going to be playing in the video game tournaments. Not me, not your 2-time championship broadcaster. But I'll be there. My son's going to play in the tournaments. That's what we got going on tomorrow. Before Money in the Bank. We got to get back in time for Money in the Bank. All right. So let's get to the Heat aspect of what's going on beginning tonight. We already talked about Max Strus. There's only 2 things to really look at. By the way, the Heat, they declined the option on Omer Yurtseven, so he's an unrestricted free agent. I told you that. I did not think they were going to bring him back. I'm not sure how much they liked him, to be honest with you. I think that's part of why he didn't play very much once he became eligible again. I think all of us were a little bit higher on Omer Yurtseven than the team was. Not surprised that they're not bringing him back. I did not think that they would. So, the Heat are going to stand pat. They're waiting around for Portland. They look at themselves and say, we can afford to wait around because the club we have just made it to the NBA Finals. If we got to bring back the same group, all right, we're also adding Tyler Hero back to the group. We'll be okay. But here's the thing. If the Heat lose Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, you're not even close to the same team that just got to the NBA Finals. You are not a championship caliber team if you lose that depth. Because we could talk all we want about them being undrafted players. They both played major roles all throughout the year and in the postseason on this team. The Heat absolutely want them both back, but they're going to have to prioritize, and the Heat definitely want Gabe Vincent back. Max Strus is going to price them out. Max Strus, you're going to see, is going to agree with Indiana tonight. Max Strus, I told you, I think can get 3 years, $45 million. at least. Max Strus is going to be gone tonight. If Gabe Vincent is also gone, this becomes a major problem for the Heat. If they don't acquire Damian Lillard. If they don't acquire Lillard. But if they lose Strus and Vincent and don't get Lillard, this offseason becomes a major problem. So that's something that we're obviously keeping an eye on tonight. They're not going to bring Strus back, but Vincent, and if you believe the reports out there, that they're trying to negotiate a deal similar to what Caleb Martin got. Well, look, Caleb Martin was what, 3 years, $24 million, I think. Amazing contract. That wasn't coming off an NBA Finals run. Yes, it was Eastern Conference Finals, but that wasn't coming off an NBA Finals run. And Caleb Martin was not a starter during an NBA Finals run like Gabe Vincent was. And Vincent has leverage where we all know they don't want to bring Kyle Lowry back. So, just like Strus, Max Strus is going to leave today, and everyone should be happy for him. You got to do what you got to do, and loved your time here. Wish you could stay, but it's totally cool that you're going out and doing what you got to do to get the money. Same thing with Vincent, but losing Gabe Vincent's going to hurt. You're not going to be mad at Gabe Vincent. You're going to wind up being mad at the Heat. And I get it. And the only way that you won't be mad at the Heat is if they wind up getting Lillard. But if they don't bring back Vincent and you also strike out on Lillard, all season becomes a disaster. It really does. So that's what we're keeping an eye on tonight from a Heat perspective. Strus and Vincent. We're looking at Portland, hoping they do nothing. You got the big names out there like Irving, who no one is interested in. Harden, that's going to happen soon. Because I think the Harden thing has probably been in the works. And we're keeping an eye on Gabe Vincent. We're hoping that Gabe Vincent is amenable to giving it a little bit of time. I don't know how much time they're going to need to find out about the Lillard situation. It feels like that could take a little bit of time. The Heat have to hope that Gabe Vincent is willing to give the team some time. Because there are going to be offers out there that are more than, like let's even say they gave Martin 3 for 24. Let's say they offered 3 for 29 to Vincent. I think there are going to be teams out there that offer more. I do. You got 5 or 6 teams with salary cap space, and Gabe Vincent's a good player. I think there could be teams that offer Gabe Vincent 3 for 33. If the Heat offers something like 3 for 29, does that make the big difference? I hope not. But that's what we're keeping an eye on tonight. Now, if you're sitting around tonight, you're keeping an eye on the NBA free agency, and you're like, man, I wish I had a cold beer in my hand. Well, I mean, look, we can rectify that situation. You go stop by your local Sedano's or Presidente or Winn-Dixie, and you go pick up yourself a 6-pack of Johnny Cuba. What better way to get the weekend started? Heck, right when we get done with the show here, we go sit outside by our pool. I got a Johnny Cuba in my hand. I'm listening to my favorite shows. I'm keeping an eye on what's going on with free agency, and I'm sipping on that Johnny Cuba. European roots of the Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager in a can. And when I drink at home with a Johnny in my hand, I'm always drinking responsibly. The official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0, everybody knows, is Johnny Cuba. I love when you guys take a photo or take video. That first pour, come on, take it easy with the foam. Gotta be a good pour. That first pour with the Johnny, I posted on Instagram where I'm an influencer. Then you become famous. My man Juan from Johnny Cuba, he loves when he sees those clips. Pick up a 6-pack of Johnny Cuba. Send me a picture. I'll post it on my stories. And of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. Now, we're keeping an eye on the NBA free agency. We got the Marlins tonight. We got some big games this weekend. WWE Money in the Bank tomorrow. That shit's going to be awesome. I'm very excited about that. But you may be saying to yourself, ZASLOW, I got to spend some time with the family this weekend. So I got to know, is it a big movie? Or is it not a big movie? Big movie or not a big movie? Every Friday, let's see what we got going on here today. All right. Big movie or not a big movie? First up, I already told you I started watching this yesterday. This is a show. It's episodic television on Apple TV. This is called Hijack. It came out a couple days ago. The first couple episodes are out. It stars Idris Elba. That's all you need to know. He's awesome. Here's what it's about. When flight KA-29 is hijacked during its 7-hour journey from Dubai to London, corporate negotiator Sam Nelson tries to use his professional skills to save everyone on board. The Rotten Tomatoes media score for Hijack, 90%. The audience score, 76%. I already told you, we like this show. Hijack, that's a big movie. Big movie or not a big movie? This is called Rudy Gilman, Teenage Kraken. My son wants to see this. It's rated PG. It's out in theaters today. It's got some thematic elements. It's got some action. It's got some rude humor. It's an animation. Yeah, I think it's Pixar. It looks like Pixar. Here's who it stars. Lana Condor and Toni Collette and Sam Richardson and Will Forte. Liza Koshy. I call her Fake Joy Taylor, actually. She hosts, if you don't know who she is, she hosted that new version of Double Dare. Yeah, Liza Koshy is Fake Joy Taylor. Here's what it's about. Sweet, awkward 16-year-old Ruby Gilman is desperate to fit in at Oceanside High, but she mostly just feels invisible. She's math tutoring her skater boy crush, who only seems to admire her for her fractals, and she's prevented from hanging out with the cool kids at the beach because her overprotective supermom, hold on, I lost some spot here, has forbade Ruby from ever getting in the water. But when she breaks her mom's #1 rule, Ruby will discover she's a direct descendant of the warrior Kraken queens and is destined to inherit the throne from her commanding grandmother, the warrior queen of the 7 seas. I mean, she did a very long synopsis. Let's get to it here. Rotten Tomatoes media score, 63%. So it's all right. Rotten Tomatoes audience score, 76%. Audiences like it. I can tell you right now, my younger son's going to want to see this. Ruby Gilman, Teenage Kraken. I'll go big movie. Someone wind up seeing it. I'll go big movie. All right. Big movie or not a big movie? This is a show. It's called Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan. The final season, season 3 of Jack Ryan. It is out today. That's right. It stars John Krasinski as the great Jack Ryan. We love John Krasinski. Also stars Wendell Pierce, Noomi Rapace, Michael Kelly. Really good cast. All right. Here's what it's about if you don't know yet. Author Tom Clancy introduced the character of Jack Ryan in a series of books before Ryan headed to the big screen in several films. You may remember he was played by Alec Baldwin and Harrison Ford. Now, the former U.S. Marine is featured in an episodic series for the first time with John Krasinski portraying Ryan in this Amazon original thriller that centers on Ryan as an up-and-coming CIA analyst. We love this show. Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, Rotten Tomatoes media score, 77%. Rotten Tomatoes audience score, 74%. Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, that's a big movie. We'll be watching that over the weekend. And finally, I got one more for you here. Big movie or not a big movie? Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That's right. It's rated PG-13. It's got language. It's got action. It's got sequences of violence. It's got smoking. It's out in theaters today. It stars Harrison Ford and Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Antonio Banderas. Here's what it's about if you've been living under a rock. Where's the synopsis here? Here we go. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Daredevil archaeologist Indiana Jones races against time to retrieve a legendary dial that can change the course of history. Accompanied by his goddaughter, he soon finds himself squaring off against Jürgen Voller, a former Nazi who works for NASA. Okay. Rotten Tomatoes media score, 66%. They're telling you it's all right. Rotten Tomatoes audience score, 88%. That tells you there's a major nostalgia factor here. That's right. And you know I'm a sucker for nostalgia. I can't wait to see this movie. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, that's a big movie. And that right there is another addition. A big movie or not a big movie. I may go see that tonight. I'm into that, man. All right, very good.